All right, guys, we are back again. COVID, cabal. This is a pivotal COVID cabal. It's a big COVID cabal, not only because of what's actually happening in the world right now, which is pretty substantial. There's a lot of I'm just retweeting this right now. There's a lot happening, guys. There's a lot happening. Like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, man. Like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, getting amped up. I mean, Alex Jones amped up. Let's go. Back again. Back again. COVID cabal. Back again. What's up, Romeo? Evening. Evening, gentlemen. Evening, gentlemen. We're back for COVID cabal. Big COVID cabal. Big COVID cabal. End of COVID cabal era as we know it. I'm not saying that I will never do a COVID cabal in this study again. I'm not saying that because I always hopefully have this place to go back to. You know, God protect my parents. They stay in good health. The house is here. They might be here for. I may be doing some guest posted season 5 COVID cabal, but this is it, guys. This is the. In the past, when I did a COVID cabal that wasn't in this room, it was the aberration, and that's changing now. Going forward, this is the aberration. This beautiful study, which you guys have known all the way since March 2020. We're coming up on 6 years. It's going to be a big 6 years. I got a celebratory wine here. I found this little gem that my dad has, a Stellenbosch Pinotage from 98, baby. In honor of Orania. In honor of South Africa's nascent Afrikaner autonomy movement. We've got a 98 Stellenbosch Pinotage. Can I give you a brief tour of the antiquities in the room? You know what? That's a really beautiful idea. Let me see. This room is a dump, by the way. It's always kind of a dump, but it's especially one because I've got like random Polish zloty lying around here because I threw all the documents and stuff I have to organize before I leave tomorrow in here. Oh man. Let's see what we got. We got some things here. Let's see what we got. I don't even know what all this stuff is. We obviously got Roman Centurion helmet. This is a Hussar's helmet, although this looks like an American Hussar. What the heck? No. But it says E pluribus unum, so I don't even know where in America that would be coming from. Let's see what else we got here. We've got a scimitar, a little scimitar dagger. We got all sorts of random shit. That's definitely a German, pre-World War I helmet, cavalry helmet. I think it is. My dad was big on the cavalry. That's one from a Scottish unit. The one on the anatomy structure there. Let's see. Oh, we got this. We got Pat Stedman Halloween costume. Look at that. Imagine being a prepubescent kid wearing a full coat of chainmail into. Yeah, that was not fun. I had to take that. I remember sweating like crazy. I certainly was a weirdo, but look where I got it from. Look at my father up there in the top. So he did that. Well, he looked good though. He looked handsome. Wasn't he so clearly a nobleman in a past life? Look at that in the corner right there. Not the guy underneath. I don't know who that dude with the glasses is. I have no idea who that person is. But up on the top, look at that handsome man. That's my father as a youngin'. Yeah, look at this. My mom and dad styling it up back in the day. Yeah, it's bittersweet, guys. It's bittersweet. You got to move on in life, though, you know? You got to be grateful. You got to be grateful for the different chapters of the journey. But you can't ever stay stuck in one place too long. You can't stay stuck in one era of your life too long. You know, you just can't do it. You gotta be willing to say goodbye when it's time to say goodbye. I felt really adamant. My mom was initially giving us like I think I said this before, but she was kind of giving us like a 6 month, 6 to 9 month kind of headway out by the summer. I'm like, we need a few more months. We needed them. And everything happened the way it was meant to happen, Got the passport. I had to lobby. I had to hit Doge up. I had to go through some serious contacts. I had contacts going into Doge. I had contacts in the State Department. I had 2 congressional offices on it. Got it done, guys. They got hit with artillery from all different directions. That passport office. They had to give it up. They had to mail freight it. Within 4 days, 3-4 days of me hitting them on that passport was in our hands. So, but yeah, this is life. Like, it's been so beautiful, and it is. I'm gonna try not to be too sentimental, because it's been quite the journey. It's been quite the journey. Coming over here when we first started doing COVID Cabal in March 2020, just how like absolutely naive we were about all this stuff. Patriots secured the passport. That's right. Yeah, it just, what a beautiful little what a beautiful journey it's been. And I'm gonna miss my parents. I'm gonna miss here. I'm gonna miss America. But I know it's time for the next chapter, and we're really hitting like a liminal moment. And when I say liminal moment, what I mean is that the stuff is going to start to really go down. I'm standing by this, guys. February, March. I'm standing by it. It's coming. It's coming. And we're going to go into that. We're going to go into that on today's show. All the indications are there. It's going to happen. It has. Look, I'm going to be the first to say, we don't have anything by June and be like, Trump missed the ball. He missed the window, and we're in a bad state. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Everything's lined up for it. The stars are lined up for it. So by the time we hit the 6-year anniversary of COVID Cabal, we're going to have those arrests. I know, Elvis, you were, I don't know about you. I'm ready to see some shit actually go down. United side a leather coat with Apple earbuds on. It's not true. COVID Cabal said, oh shit. Yeah. I forgot about that. I have that in my room. Got it in my room right now. About to pack it in the attic. That leather jacket is the only thing I got from my grandfather. It was not, my mother's father was not really in our life. I only met him a few times before he died. I got that leather jacket, and that was my swag in high school when I was like 140 pounds. So like, picture me, but with like 40 pounds less muscle and maybe 10 pounds less fat. Let's say that too. Yeah. That leather jacket made me look like I had a little bit more of a frame on me. Yeah, I'm going to miss it here. I'm going to miss it. But I'm excited for the new chapter, and I'm excited for the new chapter with Poland. See that Polish money right there? This is a cool $5 basically. All right. I'm gonna show you guys this Pinotage. Let's pour it. You can see it's old, not just because of the date, but look at this with the cork. I did manage to get all the cork out though. That little last piece was giving me some trouble. Overall, looks like it's pretty well preserved. Nose is good. I'm excited for this. South Africa had a hard time back in the 90s. My dad got a lot of wine for cheap. good quality wine because people were, you know, giving them all this crap about apartheid, etc. So in the 90s, both before and after, it just had kind of like a bad brand. But if you knew wine, you care about the wine, you know what I mean? So, all right. And okay, so tertiary development here. It's musty. I'm telling you, it's musty. But lots of caramel, lots of meat. Pinotage is a very, very it's becoming less well known and they're neutralizing it, but Pinotage is a hybrid between Pinot Noir and to be honest, I don't know what it's a hybrid with, but it is a very distinctly South African grape, definitely losing its like South Africa doesn't produce it as much. They were not able to meme it into a grape. It's also very it's very like stinky shoes, you know, it's got a very stinky smell to it. So I don't know that, unlike Malbec, for instance, they had a hard time trying to convince people that you should have it. So I've seen Pinotages still, but you see less of them, and they tend to try to produce them more like Pinot Noirs, but they're kind of like a Pinot Noir, but with a lot more meat and leather, like almost like a Pinot Noir Syrah. In fact, that might be what the hybrid is. I don't remember, but smells good. Smells good. It's beautiful, guys. Really beautiful. Wow. Almost a 30-year wine. Wow. It's got everything going on. You know, can you imagine waiting that long for a wine? You just got to get them and you got to throw them in there and forget about them. And then that's the only way you can do it, because you can't actually consciously wait for a wine this long. That's what happened to this bottle. It's in there. It was forgotten. It's this bottle and a port are the only things that are around 30 years old left in there. What a treat. But good that we opened it now. Some slight thinning. So you can tell it's on the verge of going downhill. But it's still a very good wine. It's still a very good wine. Old wine has a very distinct flavor profile to it and structure. All of the flavors, the tannins, everything softens. So texture is actually very soft, even if it's a big wine. Most people don't have a chance to have an old wine, so that's kind of why I'm saying it. But the caramelization as well. We call it tertiary development. Primary would be fruit. Secondary would be oak, so like vanilla. Tertiary is the development in the integration of these things together. So like in the way that a raspberry flavor becomes kind of like a cooked flavor, the way that a vanilla becomes a caramel kind of thing. That's what tertiary is. All right, guys, let's get to the meat of the CABAL. Thank you for humoring me. Yeah, I'm a little sentimental, but I think it's because when you leave a place like this, when you leave, it's like the end of, it's like an end of an era. You know what I mean? It's the end of an era. And I don't just mean that with CABAL. It's like an end of an era of my life. Both in terms of the political arc, which I think that end of an era is, or at least the J6 2020 election stuff, that's coming to an end of an era, I believe, in the next few months, or at least the acute parts of that. And then, you know, having the multi-generational household with your parents, you know, what an experience. I think we're all going to have a hard time with it when we don't have it. Anyway, enough of that. So here's why I think Trump is serious. So he just pardoned Tina Peters. Tina Peters, by the way, let me skip to about Tina Peters for those who don't know. What everyone needs to know, the state of Colorado broke federal law. Why? The evidence Tina Peters preserved was required by federal law Judge Matthew Barrett refused to let the jury hear Tina's defense during trial. They also, by the way, messed this up during the grand jury. Okay. They withheld things about her role. 41 motions were denied, preventing the jury from hearing the truth. Clerk Peters is the only clerk in Colorado to preserve proof of illegal deletion of election records from the 2020 presidential election by Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold. So to remind people what exactly happened, Tina Peters, who's a Gold Star mom, son killed in action. I think he was like a Navy SEAL or a Green Beret, Special Forces. Tina Peters, as clerk, does her job. She preserves the records. Dominion, when they go to do their little update, she made a copy. She didn't trust them. Things were acting weird. She finds out after Dominion did their update that they wiped all the data. They were not allowed to do that. That data had to be preserved for 18 months, right? Maybe it was 23 months. So what happens is that Colorado, rather than say, wait a minute, you found out that actually Dominion illegally deleted election data, which showed that they had tampered with the results. Because you preserved the proof that they cheated on the election, we're going to arrest you. And that's what they've been doing. So Trump pardoned Tina Peters last week. Now, it doesn't matter, quote unquote, because it's a state charge. And now a judge has just said that Tina won't be released because now they're saying that Trump is going after Colorado's prison systems. Trump's also going after the basically going after why they put her in the first place on validity issues. But the judge, because the judge is corrupt, is making them keep Tina Peters in prison until that happens. I don't know that it's going to come to this because I think that Trump can say she's a star witness and a federal suit and take her out. The pardon is for optics, but also I think to help set that standpoint. They want to kill Tina Peters, though. They absolutely want to kill her. Tina Peters to the J6 community is kind of like an adjacent person, like another political prisoner. And bottom line is that these people are absolutely substantially evil, but Trump is calling them out directly. He is saying that Colorado is controlled by a cartel, Tren de Agua, which we are blowing up. Our military is off the coast of Venezuela right now, blowing up ships because they are connected to Tren de Agua. So think about this for a second. Trump just called the governor of Colorado a terrorist. That's what he just did. Now, I know everybody's going to say, where are the arrests? Where are the arrests? Where are they arresting people? Can I point out something for you guys? All right. I want to be fair to President Trump. Look, I know that I've said for this whole time that he doesn't have to do anything till next year. So I'm okay with how things have transpired. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit with the bond markets. But does everybody who says, where are the arrests? Where are the arrests? Well, wasn't Comey arrested? And what happened? Judge let him off. Now, there may be a window to retry him, but judge let him off. What else happened? We cannot get the district attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia confirmed because of Congress. They held 2-minute pro forma sessions every few days during vacation to block recess appointments. Republican Congress did that. So when you hear people go in the MAGA corner and they're complaining that Trump hasn't done enough, and I get it, guys, I get the frustration. I absolutely get the frustration. But what is Trump working with? People like thinking about this for a second. Just do it. Just do it. Do what? Go arrest everybody? Go arrest all the judges? How can you arrest all the judges? The way you arrest the judges, the only thing you can do is do the Insurrection Act. You could go after individual judges, and I've talked about this before. You can indict judges. But what happens if you indict a judge and then that case comes before another judge? You know, I'm a big fan of Tom Luongo. You guys know this. I truly think Tom Luongo is the best geopolitical thinker out there today. I really do. I don't think that there's anybody else who is able to understand, who has the right kind of character to not be corrupted, who has the right instincts in terms of like what makes the most sense in practicality, like the ability to question his own thinking to evolve, and who also has the correct understanding of both financial markets and standard geopolitical analysis. I think I have everything except for the financial stuff. But the bottom line is, if you don't have the financial stuff, you can't be considered a brilliant geopolitical thinker. You can have good geopolitical senses and instincts, but you can't be considered a true geopolitical strategist or somebody who understands the world if you don't understand the financial and bond markets. I'm going to do the best I can to learn more and more. Tom's helped me to learn a lot about that. But the reason, why am I saying this about Tom? Because if there's one thing I think that Tom is wrong about, and it's not a material relevance, because Tom is coming to the same conclusions, but he won't square the circle. And maybe he's doing it to some extent out of optics, because nobody wants to be associated with this if they're a serious thinker. But everything that's happening that Tom's saying has to happen the way it's going to happen is basically, at the end of the day, what Q said was going to happen. Okay? Everything is lined up to it. I'm not saying every single last individual detail, which is why I'm not a Q-tard, which is why I am not somebody who is trying to read into the tea leaves of every little last thing. But, and I don't know if there's, you know, Q said trust Grassley. Grassley's the one who's doing the blue slips. He's the one who's been blocking a lot of these recess appointments, because he's allowing Democrats to say, I don't want this person. They say, okay, we'll respect that, when the Democrats never do that to Republicans. So I don't know, you know, from that perspective, you can say Q's retarded. But in terms of directional correctness, and Q did say disinformation is necessary, and that's just like fucking cop out. I don't know. I'm just saying that everything that's coming, Q seeded. Everything that's the way it's happening, the only way is the military. How can you look at the Comey indictment and come to any other conclusion that that is exactly correct? And Tom understands all this too. He understands that Trump is going to have to sign the Insurrection Act and start arresting people en masse, and that Hegseth was the reason they went against Hegseth more than any other appointment, is because Hegseth, as Secretary of War, has to have the backbone to do the difficult actions. You are not going to get justice in the justice system. I can tell you that firsthand. You are not going to get the deep state, which put most of these judges and prosecutors in place, or are blocking the ability to have good prosecutors in place. You are never going to get justice through these people. The judge that lets somebody out who rapes people over and over again, that judge is corrupted, either ideologically or materially corrupted. She's either a loon job, true believer, or she's actively, consciously working against you because of personal aggrandizement, and these things blur together, obviously. The only way, the only gun, the only thing that goes above the judges is the military. And the only way that the military goes above the judges and civilian controls with the Insurrection Act. Everything that got me into this fucking mess coming up on 5 years ago, I don't know what else to tell you. It is 5 years ago. I was talking about this happening 5 years ago. It was the shit that got me arrested. It was premature. But I don't see a way out of it now. We know exactly what they're going to do if they get elected again. There's no time. There was time before. It's apparent that you know, they couldn't. It took them. I don't even know if they were prepared to win. You know what I mean? Like I said before, I think their plan has always been civil war. And that's why when people are saying now, this time around, he's got to arrest them all right now, I'm thinking, when I say this, I'm not saying this like to be high and mighty. You know what I mean? I'm not saying this to be high and mighty like, shit, my shirt's all fucked up. I'm not, look at this. Look at this. It's just like my shoulders all crooked. There we go. I'm not saying this just to be all high and mighty. Okay? I'm not saying this. I'm saying it because I'm the one who messed it up before. I'm the one who said he's got to do it right now, right this second. And I was wrong. People have been saying it all his entire term. Just go get in the power and immediately arrest him. You can't do that. You got to get the public on point. Look at this Q post here. Okay, so Bill and Hillary are set to testify before Congress over the next 2 days. I don't know if that's really relevant. That's a poster. But what I want to say is this. The hard part for us is having to wait for the public to know what we've known for a very long time. There is a bigger threat to them than the public becoming. There is no bigger threat to them than the public becoming awake and thinking for themselves. Why are we here? This has always been my argument why you can't say that Q was a negative. I'm not saying it wasn't a psyop, but you can't say it was a negative psyop. You can't say that because the net result of it was people thinking for themselves. Everybody who says, "Oh, it was, you know, make people complacent." It didn't make anybody complacent. I was there on January 6th. Like half the banners were people with fucking Q stuff on there. Because they're the ones who knew what was going on. So I will happily go down in history being a fucking, you know, whatever you want to call me about it. The bottom line is that the core points, which is that the only way you are going to remove this cabal is through the military via the Insurrection Act, and that yes, they have been trafficking people, and yes, there's a military operation behind all this. You can see it in Luongo himself, even though he won't go to the Q stuff. And I blame the Q community for that because the Q community is like super wishful thinking. The Q community is super schizophrenic. It's a very difficult community to ever want to associate with. And by the way, some of that is deliberate interference because they want to make that community look fucking ridiculous, which they've succeeded in doing. Because that's how you deal with when you can't control information anymore. All you can do is confuse. So people without discernment lose themselves. But what has also been coming out recently, it's not just the 2020 election stuff. It's been what Romeo is saying right here, the COVID vax stuff. Have you guys noticed in the last 2 weeks, COVID vaccines are going to get FDA black box warnings. They're taking Hep B off the childhood vaccine schedule. There's stuff on X all the time about now myocarditis. We are getting all of the stuff that we've talked about for years is starting to become like verified by Health and Human Services. People are saying, well, are you going to do something? Are you going to do something? What I see is narrative shaping, things moving forward very aggressively. Trump is about to do, is this right here? Trump announced that California is under criminal investigation for mail-in ballot fraud. The pattern was identified by Kamala winning 3.1 million votes and California's removing 3.1 million voters. Gavin then used the same method in Proposition 50. Okay, and then they list these. You know, this one right here, I know, deprivation of rights under color of law, right? That's how you go after judges and all elected officials. That's a big one. I knew a guy in prison who had that. That's why that's always been in my mind since then. But this is the big point. Everything is shaping up for this. But the bond markets show it. You can see that the Eurozone, they are selling treasuries to try to get dollars. They're in big financial trouble. Italian bond spreads are looking, they're going to start to look better than the French bond spreads pretty soon. Europe is going to go through a sovereign debt crisis. Western Europe for sure. And you've seen now Trump's explicit plans are to peel off Italy through Poland. That's actually kind of funny now that I just say that, because in the Polish national anthem, it's March, March, Dąbrowski from Italy to Poland, because the Poles were obviously the big, I don't say obviously, people don't know this, but in the Napoleonic Wars, Poland was France's biggest ally because Napoleon basically gave Poland back a country, the Duchy of Warsaw, which then they extended. Of course, it was all lost when they lost the war, but Prince Poniatowski was big French cavalry officer in Napoleon's corps. The Polish had a corps in Napoleon's army. Dąbrowski was one of them. But anyway, Polish national anthem talks about this because they fought on the side of France and Italy, right? March from Dąbrowski from Italy to Poland. That's what's looking like it's going to happen. Now, I don't know whether we're going to have full-on explicit EU collapse. This is a pretty good calendar, though. Q4 2025, Q1 2026. He's talking about the collapse of the EU. French deficit, 6.5 to 7% spreads versus Germany, 150 basis points. European Central Bank quietly restarts secret bond buying. Spring 2026, French snap elections, total parliamentary chaos. French 10-year yields test 4 to 5%. Summer 26, Trump tariffs hit full force, 1.5% GDP loss. Germany deep in recession. AfD, largest party in eastern states. Autumn 26, ECB balance sheet greater than 10 trillion euros. Germany threatens Euro system exit or parallel counting. Northern revolt goes public. 27, 28, absolute latest. Target 2 explodes. Southern bank rubs. ECB implodes capital controls. Euro fractures into Neuro-Southern blocks or simply dies. 2030, EU still exists on paper. Single currency for 20 countries gone. I'm not even saying I agree with this guy's timeline, but everybody can see it. They're trying to create insurrection across the United States. We will put down that shit in fucking weeks. It's going to be the most pathetic civil war you've ever seen. Someone made a good comment about this because you have all these Civil War LARPers, like, you know, Civil War is going to be cheers. We got to get ready. It's coming. That's not how what's going to happen. What's going to happen is whoever has the fucking military on their side is going to win. Just like that. And you're going to see a bunch of uprisings from Antifa types, and they're going to get slaughtered like fucking pigs in a barrel. That's what's going to happen. Fish in a barrel. Pigs in a barrel. Little pigs. Little pigs can fit in a barrel. They're going to get slaughtered. That's the point I'm trying to make. That's how it is. You like it. Unless you have the ability, like the American Civil War, you had different sections of the country with not a big U.S. army. They were all militias that became organized into, you know what I mean? There's no analogous situation here. It's where does the U.S. military go? Do you attempt a coup? What do you think that this whole thing with Hegseth and having the fitness standards was all about? This is like actually hilarious to say out loud, but putting fitness standards in the military was a soft coup. You know how they, in the 90s, through the sexual harassment stuff, and then again with the COVID vaccine, plus all the stuff that Obama did in terms of the, you know, recruitment targets and promotion targets. But the point is that we have the super inflated, corrupt top brass. Heggs has said, if you can't do a fitness standard, you're out of the military. That purged tons of generals and admirals from the military, just like that. It was a top brass purge of the military because we have the colonels on our side. It's a top brass you have to worry about. So I'm trying to say here, guys, is we're hitting each other's flanks, but it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It's going to be chaotic, but it's going to be all right. And I do think that Western Europe is going to go through a lot of fits and starts because the UK, France, and Germany, and of course some of the smaller members of this group, like Netherlands, Belgium, Sweden, right? All of this sort of Northern and Western Europe, they have big migration issues, and they're just not going to be able to maintain control. They won't be able to do it. So we start the long march to victory. That's what it is. Because the remigration stuff, that's the whole next chapter. But against this cabal right now, things are coming to a head, guys. But what I'm going to tell you is this. Expect that when things start up, that it's going to be on both sides of the pond. Because nothing that happens in America, if you have the indictments of Clinton and Obama, let's say, both Clintons and Obama, if you start having all this stuff, all this buildup, because remember, it takes like 9 to 10 months to impanel a grand jury anyway on this kind of issues. People want this stuff to happen immediately. Where's your grand jury to do it legally? So this is all going to happen. But when it happens over here, expect an escalation over there. Because they are going to do everything they possibly can as this stuff starts to link overseas. They are going to do everything that they possibly can to maintain control, and that's moving up the escalatory ladder. They are going to lose this war. Anybody who for a second thinks that they're going to win this war is really, in my opinion, faithless. Because the only thing required for us to win this war is to continue down our path and pull the trigger when it needs to be pulled. They have everything going against them except our ability to pull that trigger. And so if you believe someone like Trump, who has risked constantly throughout his entire life, is going to be unwilling to do it, then I think that you're faithless. I think you got to buckle up and you got to understand the level that people are playing at. This financial fight to regain monetary control, to use gold and Bitcoin, at least in America, as remonetization of the entire currency system, that's been going on since at least 2019. When we created SOFR to pull back control over the valuation of dollars overseas, because the British were the ones who are able to set the rate through LIBOR, the London Interbank Overnight Rate. It's now become SOFR. It's based in America. SOFR now has predictability. It's stabilized. They've been attacking it constantly over the last few years. SOFR now has full predominance over the value of overseas dollars, which they need. They need those dollars because that's how they keep their entire fucking fluff fiat world. Europe doesn't have any. They've deindustrialized. They don't have natural resources. Europe's fucked. It shouldn't be fucked. Great people. European Union could be a real, if European Union was based around protecting Europeans, it'd be a great thing. Instead, it's a communist institution. I'm gonna make this last comment about Doge, okay? Because Elvis asked this question. Do you believe Doge uncovered way more than we know about? Was it just USA AID? Ralph. By the way, this is my man Ralph. J6 or Ralph Celentano. Ralph was so notorious that he was on the playing card deck It's my man. My man, you know, like the one that they did for Saddam Hussein. It's my man Ralph with me at Fort Dix. I love him. Ralph, by the way, totally exonerated. The appeals court throughout his entire case because Ralph was protecting other people in the crowd from the police, and he actually won in the courts. The pardon was like irrelevant for him by the end. The courts gave it to him, the verdict finally on the day of the pardon, but it was obvious that he had defended these people. So I just want to say that about my man. Good man. Holy shit. Cough my ass off right now before the end of the show. Okay. So I think that Elon was genuinely frustrated that they didn't do more with Doge, but look at it. We talked about Congress earlier. Congress's continuing resolution negated every single thing that Doge was doing. Congress's continuing resolution funded everything that Doge identified as a problem. So what was the point of Doge? Doge still exists. It wasn't used the way that Elon Musk wanted it to be used. And I think that there was an ego battle over that because Elon jumped on board. He didn't understand the big plan. Maybe he wasn't trusted enough to be given the full plan, or maybe he just had his own little ego spat over it. I do think that spat was not fake. I think it was real, as I've said on these shows. And I do think that over the summer, he started to like want to come back into the fold, and Charlie Kirk's assassination kind of allowed them to mend fences between each other. So I think Elon, on a personal level, feels that Doge was a waste. But I think Trump probably used Elon's enthusiasm for Doge to go after USAID because they knew that that's where the stuff was. That was the main target because there's tons and tons of government waste, and that's a problem. But you have to keep Congress somewhat on board, or at least Congress would impeach Trump in a second if they have the reason to. So don't go after their little slush fund. USAID, however, was going directly to funneling cabal activities, deep state activities. So they went after USAID, and then they had to abort on the rest because they hit institutional resistance. Trump said, we got what we needed right now. Elon is more, thinking from a purist principle standpoint. We got, this isn't enough. We need to do more. Trump's saying, we'll get him later. Elon didn't like that. That's what I think happened, more or less. Why did he go after Bessent? He didn't like Bessent. Bessent is the one who has a lot of the financial strategy with this stuff. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. This is the thing. It's like you listen to the slop Twitter commentary at Trump's clueless. You fucking kidding me? You gotta be fucking kidding me. Trump has no idea what's going on. Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, some account in India made a talking point. He doesn't know. He doesn't know with the entire fucking Defense Intelligence Agency. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has no idea what's going on. Yeah. No clue. Go fuck off your high horses. I'm saying this even to myself sometimes, by the way, because it's easy to see something online and think, and I'm not saying that Trump knows everything. I'm not saying he knows everything. I'm not saying that there aren't things he misses. But I'm saying in terms of grand strategy, big picture, Trump knows what the fuck he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He might not know a few little details. He might not anticipate the scale of reactions to things like Epstein. But he absolutely knows what he's doing, big picture. This is a man with a plan. He's got a team that has a plan. And you better believe yourself. You better fucking believe it. February, March, we're having mass arrests. Total lunar eclipse, March 2-3, 2026. Yeah. Mid-February, we have the last planet leave Pisces, and we've got an eclipse. I mean, it's happening. It's happening. And you can feel it's just a buildup. This is the buildup. This is the narrative softening of the target. So anyway, guys, that's it. That's it. I got to get down for dinner. I love you. Thank you for being on the journey. We're going to be doing these. I'm going to have more this year. We're going to do them in Poland, ad hoc. Probably not the same time, right? But we're going to have it ad hoc. And in 2026, I intend to get a studio, okay? And we're going to have good quality stuff, good quality sound. We're going to take CABAL to the next level. When we do our victory lap, by the time it's ready for our victory lap in February, we're going to have it all set up. That's my new hubris. That's my new pride. That's my new, I'm speaking it into existence. But those of you who have been with me, outside on the porch in my leather jacket in this chaotic study, those of you who have been with me through the journey, I look forward to the next chapter. We're going to be in Lublin, Poland, Lublin in the east. You go due east from Lublin, about 200 miles, you are at the intersection of the Ukrainian-Belarusian border. So if we are going hot, caliber missiles coming right to my building, which is the tallest building in the city. So good luck to me. Good luck to me over there. I'll be back, though. I love America. Always going to be an American. It's just a little adventure. Season 3 CABAL. We're going to do that. We're going to do that after the arrest, I think. Yeah. We're going to do season 3 CABAL. It's coming up. Love you too, Ralph. Love you all. Have a great evening. And we'll speak to you within the next, it's not going to be more than 10 days, guys. We'll have it before Christmas, all right? I promise you that. CABAL before Christmas. Take care, my friends.